Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. It is Traffic Safety Thursday and I am not on the Zoom screen. I am dressed. Mm-hmm. I have pants on, guys.
Are you
not pajama
dressed?
Pants.
Are you not dressed when you're on the Zoom?
I'm usually in any form of a pajama top or bottom with a fancy scarf to make it look like I'm trying to be professional.
Nice. Very nice. You were in the scarf today too.
Yes,
so.
And I have shoes and socks and everything on today. This is a whole new thing for me now.
this virtual world, I guess, that some are getting to live in is really something. I had to attend. It wasn't a visual Zoom; it was a teleconference thing. We normally do a workshop for our DMV grants, and now with pandemic still hanging about, we did it by this group meeting on the phone, and it's not the same. And I guess seeing these people, with all the split screens on the television shows and all, it's like the Brady Bunch gone wild.
I'm currently having, this coming weekend, as a matter of fact, Tim is constructing a second Zoom wall for me because I'm bored with the one.
Background. Why don't you just get the green?
That's so lazy. That's just so lazy.
And then you can just hit a button and it could be anything.
No, I think I want my own wall because it's helping me get my house decorated. I figure when I'm done getting all the walls done in the kitchen, I'll move to the living room and then I'll have an option there and maybe the dogs can be in the background.
Well, there you go.
I'm finally getting my house decorated.
Well, I still do it the old-fashioned way, face-to-face.
I know.
And people aren't always happy with that. But, that's the way I prefer it. That's why I still come here to see you. I think it's a better interaction, even, behind the scenes when we're prepping for the show and all. So I appreciate you taking the time to put your clothes on and to meet in here today so we can record the show.
It gives me the option, too, of picking up an actual coffee, a mocha, and, having a little bit of...
Instead of the Keurig?
Outdoor time. Keurig? Sure. I can't drink it a cup at a time. I got to know that next cup is waiting for me in that pot. I got a big old pot of coffee.
All right.
My bun brews a pot of coffee in 3.5 minutes.
Your bun?
Yes, it's a coffee maker.
Oh, that's a coffee maker. Okay. All right, this show is off to a grand start.
Yes, we are overloaded on our pre-show banter. In case you did not recognize the voice, and I'm sure that you have, it is Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. It is our usual.
Quick shout out to Nikki. Hope she's listening today, and I'm more to my regular self.
Well, we're recording on a Tuesday. We're pre-recording on a Tuesday and not on a Wednesday like we had to do last month. So, there's not much you can say about a Tuesday. And I got to give a shout out to my favorite sheriff, Lenny Milholland, because, he is my hero.
Sheriff said to thank you for the ongoing great job that you do. And I'm like, I'm seeing Janet. And he goes, yes, thank her for that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because he knows, working with you every day, what a traumatic experience this is for me once a month.
If it wasn't for COVID, I'd have to hug you. But he said, give her a hug. I said, I can't, Sheriff, there's COVID.
So I know we sat here and talked for a little bit before we got started about all of the things, and I've got quite a list that includes dogs in cars, don't be stupid, ice this morning, phones in your hand. I make random notes as you're talking to me.
Well, I can tell you, Janet, let's start off with the first thing. Unfortunately, Frederick County had its first traffic fatality of the new year this past weekend. And so that means, we made it 20 days, let's say, into the new year before our first traffic fatality. And it's never easy, and it's never obviously anything good to say about a fatal crash. But there are some crashes where you're like, hey, there wasn't much that could have been done. Whether it's bad weather or a person has a blowout on the interstate at 70 miles an hour and unfortunately loses control of the car, stuff like that. But there are just some of these events where it's like, what are you thinking?
Completely preventable with just a little common sense.
And just,
or precautionary measures.
Occupants in the vehicles not being belted in, and people that might have survived the crash now have very less chance of doing so, and unfortunately in this instance didn't. And so I want to remind people, the three main factors right now in our area, and when we talk about Frederick County, you and I joke around, that's the county that we live in and the county I serve, but, we're having folks listen to us from all over.
This is universal.
Speed. Speed is a factor in a lot of these crashes. Alcohol or distraction or drug use, even prescription medication, impairment. We'll put all that under impairment. That's a key factor. And then occupant restraint. Whether you agree with seatbelt laws or not, you have a much greater chance of surviving, even if the crash isn't your fault, because we get the people that want to argue, I'm a safe driver. I'm a defensive driver. Okay, you may do everything right. You and I have had this talk.
I am never concerned when I get behind the wheel for how I'm going to drive. My concern is everybody else.
You stopped at the four-way stop sign. You looked left. You looked right. You looked left again. You went to go. And here comes a person at 100 miles an hour, because speed is a factor, who is high, drunk,
or on their phone.
Or on their phone. So there's the impairment. And when they crest that area and you don't have time to react and they T-bone you, you did everything right, but you're still in the crash. And the fact that you're not belted in when they rolled your vehicle, you got ejected, and seriously, that's where the most injury comes from. So it may not be your fault in the crash. You may do everything right. And whether you think the government has the right to tell you to wear your seatbelt, whether you believe they have the right to tell you to put your cell phone down when you're driving the vehicle, doesn't matter in this instance, because you're no longer going to be here.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And you're leaving family members behind, you're leaving friends, you're leaving other relatives behind. And to me, that's selfish. If you have a chance to save yourself by doing the right thing behind the wheel, thank you for that. But do the other things. Put the cell phone down, put the seatbelt on. That's going to be my new saying. Cell phone down, seatbelt on. Those will help. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not enough. And sometimes people who did the right thing and are belted in or are sober still perish. But at least they gave themselves every chance they had. And so that would just be one thing that we would want to express. And I can tell you, we've begun January 1st when the hands-free law took effect. We've begun to stop people now. And some of them have this mixed up notion that I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't texting. I wasn't calling anybody. Okay, why do you have it in your hand at all then if you're not doing anything? But the law is you can't hold it. So you're not tempted to do anything. Some people now are holding it, and you can look over, and they're using it as a speakerphone and talking on it. And it's like, really? Okay. So instead of Bluetoothing it, you're just going to put on speaker and then hold it up to your face. In front of your face at that. So I don't know. We're beginning in Frederick County, like I said. We're making the stops.
Because that went into effect January 1st, right?
It became law in July.
Right.
They delayed the effective date till January 1st. And so we've considered that 6 months in between to be an educational period, because unless you haven't been paying attention to social media, news outlets, the papers, the radio, you've had to have heard this at some point, that this finally passed, and here's when it's going to take effect. But
I've used it. I use that 6 months as my practice. So that I was, I can't, I'm going to start practicing and remembering now so that when January gets here, I don't have to start all over again.
And if you're traveling to our area from another state and you're listening to us right now, and you're a West Virginia resident, let's say, and you travel through Frederick County to get to Leesburg, Alexandria, Fairfax, Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C., because that's where you work, and you're traveling through our area and you get stopped, don't think because you're out of state that you're going to get a break, because West Virginians, you've been hands-free longer than we have.
Yeah. Tim tells me that all the time, because with his job, he's in West Virginia. He's in Hagerstown, Maryland. And he's like, I don't understand why it took Virginia so long, because I haven't been able to use my phone in my hand in any of these other states forever.
And I'll say the phrase, you'd be surprised, but I don't think you would be, Janet, at the number of vehicles we were seeing before January 1st with West Virginia, Maryland tags, with operators with the phones in their hands. And I'm just like, it's illegal in your home state. And here you are. You're going to travel through Virginia and be like, do.
Oh, look, it's a state line. I can hold my phone
there
now.
You go.
I'm going to hold it and use it for the sake of using it, because...
And it used to be the opposite for Virginians with radar detectors. Remember?
I do.
Virginians, you couldn't have a radar detector, but the minute you hit West Virginia, you can power that baby on. And so now, it's an opposite effect. And again, for anybody who takes our humor and tries to think that we don't feel seriously about this, we joke about things just because sometimes it's all you can do.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a very serious topic, and I can tell you we are looking now at a couple of projects where we will focus on people using or even just holding their cell phones while they're operating their vehicles. And so if you're going to be traveling through Frederick County, my recommendation is put the phone down, put the seatbelt on, and you get a Bluetooth device if your vehicle doesn't already have it, because, again, you don't have to be doing anything in particular. You just have to have it in your hand.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a violation.
Let's take a break.
Yep.
I have a question about, we were talking a minute ago about distractions. So I have a question for you as a new dog owner about how I'm supposed to be transporting these dogs back and forth to the vet. So can we talk about that and a couple other things on this list when we come back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell. He is from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office that he works for, my favorite sheriff, Lenny Milholland. We're going to come back and talk more with him in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. It is Traffic Safety Thursday, so I am in the studio, still pre-recorded, but in the studio with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. And we forgot at the top of the show, because, we got so into our other conversation, the monthly reminder, because even though a lot of the DMVs still aren't open, you still got to have current tags, and you still have to get your cars inspected, don't you?
Well, until March 1st. March 1st, that may be different in as much as you still need to have it done. But if you haven't done it, there's not much law enforcement can do to you. You and I talked a little bit about some of these new laws from the special session that was had this past, October and November. And in March, that new bill goes into effect that says if you have an expired registration or a dead inspection, you can't be pulled over for it until the first day of the fourth month.
That's right. I remember that conversation.
So it's basically you get a 90-day grace period. But what I want people to understand and remember is the wording, you can't be pulled over for it. It's still a violation. You still can be cited for it. The officer just has to have another reason to stop you. Didn't use your turn signal. You're doing 40 and a 35 speeding.
I come up to a checkpoint.
Yes. You're in violation at that point, you're probably getting those summonses. So we remind people, especially the inspection stations, they're still open. Some people were under the false impression that they extended vehicle safety inspections like they extended the state registration. That's not the case, folks. What was the case was the governor instructed the colonel, the superintendent of the state police, to instruct his troops not to enforce dead inspections. Now, you got to remember, you have municipalities, you have police departments, you have town PDs, you have sheriff's offices, you have other law enforcement agencies that the governor doesn't oversee, doesn't have any authority over. And so people were surprised when they were getting stopped for a 6-month dead inspection saying, you can't write me for it. Well, watch me. That's not one of the things you say to the officer who stopped you. You might say, oh, I'm sorry, I was unaware.
I was under the impression
I thought there was an extension.
I understand that ignorance is not an excuse for not obeying the law. However,
ignorance of the law is not an excuse, and being ignorant with the law enforcement officer is not probably going to help you.
Yeah. This is why I hope you never pull me over. It's just going to be ignorant from the word go.
Oh, well. I'll probably just walk up, turn around, and walk away.
I know.
Either that or call for the SWAT team. So back to the serious nature of this, though, it's still going to be illegal. But as of March 1st, law enforcement won't use that as probable cause for a primary traffic stop, just like the tag light, your little license plate light, dangling an object from your mirror.
Like your mask.
Window tint. Those all become secondary offenses, which mean the word offense is still in there, so it's illegal, but you can't be pulled over just for that. So again, you give that true reason to be pulled over, you come through a checkpoint and you have all of that going on, that's a lot of paperwork. So there may be some people who think, hey, don't have to do it, not going to do it. It can still come up and bite you, folks. And with the safety inspection, again, are there some things on the safety inspection that really don't affect just how safe your car might be, like the tag light being out? Can you still go to and from work even at night and be absolutely safe? Yes, I believe so. But there are things on that inspection that are
important. Your brakes,
important.
your rotors, your tire conditions, all of those other things
and
are
not
important.
Just to you, to those driving around you, operating their vehicles beside of you at 70 miles an hour on the interstate, where if something breaks at the wrong time, now those two vehicles have gotten together and we're in a crash. But I will tell you this, in the current session of the House, they now have a bill that is trying to rescind that bill. So, but I think the way it would work is even if it happens, the session's done by the end of February. So even if they vote to rescind this bill about expired registrations and inspections.
It starts in March.
It wouldn't start till July because that's
you'd
when
have a couple months there.
March, March, April, May, and June. So who knows? I'm sure it can be a tough job, especially having to run for office every 2 years to be a delegate. But I can tell you, and I've been down to the House of Delegates. I've sat in the sessions. I've testified to the committees. I've met some good people, but I also met a few people that I'm like, okay, this was a popularity contest, and you got the most votes. You may not necessarily be the best person for the job.
I have long since said for various and sundry elected positions up and down the Shenandoah Valley that a lot of times what happens is people get elected who are not qualified to hold office by people who probably weren't qualified to vote.
Well,
that's just my opinion.
In that case, in some cases, that may be true. So to say, well, they just passed this. Why are they looking to rescind it? I think because someone finally started reading some of the fine print.
Yeah.
That was like the headlight issue. That bill made it through the House and the Senate, approved in both bodies, got to the governor's desk, and people were still screaming, people like law enforcement agencies screaming, you've got it in there that a person can't be stopped for driving at night without lights on. Hello?
Duh.
You know, that's a safety issue. And so, you know, the governor said, hey, you know, we got to take that out.
Yeah.
But I think someone's read the fine print and going, okay, why are we going the first day of the fourth month? And why has it got to be that long? And,
Yeah.
you know, is the car going to be any safer during those 90 days if they didn't get inspected? I don't think so. So maybe they're just looking to revamp it a little bit. Another one of the House bills that I'll tell you about, since you were going to ask me about transporting your new pups, HB 2077, that's House Bill 2077, is now currently up in the House during the session to make it illegal for folks to drive with their pets in their laps.
See, I thought it already was. I cannot imagine putting myself or those dogs in any kind of precarious position where they're sitting in my lap while I'm trying to do something as serious as driving a vehicle.
Here's what I'm going to say before I go any further, because this is going to be a heated debate. Okay, not between you and I.
But between, yes.
It's going to be a heated debate. Number one, I own a German Shepherd. Okay. Number two, and my wife and I own a German Shepherd. Number two, we have 3 indoor cats. We have 1 hybrid cat who's outdoor-indoor, and we take care of 2 other outdoor cats that come along for feeding every night. All right? I've had 2 ferrets in my life. We've had a rabbit at one point, but that was a wild rabbit that was caught, and it was just... It was better to let that little critter run free.
Welcome to the Gosnell Zoo, y'all.
But I'm telling you, we are pet lovers. But with that said, with what I do now and with the safety message that we try to preach and with what we've seen happen to people and some of the instances, why would you want to risk it? Especially if you love your pet as much as I'm sure these people do. And it's not a matter of, well, he or she is only this big. Or he and she are, you know, this. A
fire truck goes flying by you, and your dog loses its mind and decides to crawl under your seat where the brake and the gas pedals are. I can't. For me personally, I could not even imagine letting them roam, especially sit in my lap.
Well, and it could be a matter of simply you had to make a move to avoid a deer, and when you did, the little teacup Yorkie, is that
Chihuahua?
No, I think my sister has a teacup Yorkie. I think. His name is Lincoln. A little thing, only this big. My cats are bigger. You go to make that maneuver to miss the deer, and Lincoln loses his balance and ends up at your feet under the pedals. So now you're trying to hit the gas, hit the brake, and the dog's down there. Or simply you've got your pet right here on your left arm. He's got his head out the window because it's a nice spring day, and all of a sudden you need to make that maneuver again. To avoid something, and you can't move that arm quick enough or well enough. I'm telling you, folks, it's not about the love you have for your pet or, again, the government telling you what you can and can't do. It's safety over convenience. And while it may be convenient for you to have that pet in your lap and you love that affection that they give you and there and at home, wouldn't it be a terrible tragedy if that pet either perished as part of this vehicle crash that you're going to be in, or that they caused it. Mm-hmm. And so it's the safety over the convenience. Love on your pets when it's more appropriate and in the better place. But I don't think that's behind the wheel, and that's just my opinion. HB 2077, if you want to know more, you can go to the government website and read up on it. I don't know what process they are with it at this point in time.
Well, and that was one of my questions for you because, you buy one thing on Facebook that's dog related. And now every time I get on Facebook, there are 4,000 new and improved dog products. And one of them was this thing to cover your back seat and leash them into the seat belts. And I thought, I never really thought about, we put them in a crate and put them in the back of the car when we take them to the vet. But there's going to come a point where they're too big to fit in that crate together.
And see, as long as your pet's calm enough and travels well enough, I don't think there's much of an issue with the back seat area, cargo area, if your seats fold up, like in my truck, quad cab, the 2 back seat fold up. And so there's room for my German Shepherd. Now, my wife takes the dog to the groomer and such in her little Jeep Renegade, but she has asked that she might need to use the truck to do it this week. And the only problem I have is not with the dog herself, is with the hair. But, okay. But in the back seat, secure where they can't get up front and interfere with the operation of the vehicle and where they're not put in any type of danger. I can tell you these trucks I see going down the road with the dog in the bed of the truck, and not necessarily in the bed, but up on the Diamondback toolbox with nothing securing them there. I'm like, please.
Yeah, even before I had dogs, that made me just...
So for your question, to transport your animals, they don't have to be crated, but I'd recommend them be in the back area, not interfering with you in the operation of the vehicle.
Last thing on my list, because we've got 2.5 minutes left, recruitment. You guys are looking for emergency dispatchers.
Yes. The Emergency Communication Center in Frederick County is looking for some good folks to take care of us, because that's what dispatchers do. They're not just call takers. They're the ones that get that information and pass it along to us. They're the ones that receive information from us and get that hit on the computer of that wanted subject that we didn't know, that stolen vehicle or whatever. They know that this house has had problems before, supposedly, that we're going to. And so they're the guiding force behind us in law enforcement and as well as fire and rescue. So right now, if you're interested, you got to be 18 or older. You got to have at least a high school diploma or GED. No criminal history. Okay. You can go to the Frederick County website, follow the links. There'll be a test involved. You will have to take a polygraph at some point. And then if you're a successful candidate, they will send you away locally for training. They just don't plop you down in the chair.
Put a headpiece on you and say, okay, answer the phone when it rings.
It's not like our days back in radio when you walked in and said, I always wanted to be on the radio. And Ken Smith said, I'll pay you $5 an hour.
Go stand in front of that mic and talk.
Yeah. Well, what do I say? If you have to ask that question, you're not ready for radio. But no, there'll be the training, and then there's the field training once you graduate from their academy, and then eventually you're cut loose. And I'm telling you, obviously, my wife is an emergency communications operator. It's not for everyone, but if we don't have folks that step up and will give it a try, it's just like with police work. Right now, it's not the most heavily recruited position, but if we don't have folks that will still step in and try, then what happens?
Yeah, you're in even more shape. So Frederick County website is fcva.us for Frederick County, VA, Virginia, fcva.us. They can go there and find where they can go, and you guys are going to have like information sessions, and so they can get all those details there.
Yeah, and I believe they'll also have sessions where you can just come by, check out the center, and stuff like that. Again.
Does it look like it does on 911 Lone Star? Because you're no Rob Lowe, but I mean, does it look like it does? Is that what it looks like?
I'm no Rob Lowe.
You are not. Now, granted, he's a firefighter, and they're usually hotter than police officers anyway. But that's a whole other conversation.
I don't believe I ever stated I was, but firefighters should be hotter. Isn't that what they deal with? Fire.
See, that's how it works.
All
right, this is going way too far, too fast.
You know why we have firefighters, right?
Oh, wow.
Because not everyone could be a police officer.
And on that note, we are...
Hey, Nikki, that one's for you.
We are wrapping up today's conversation. It has been Traffic Safety Thursday. We have been chatting with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office.
Who was a volunteer firefighter in Houston back in the 80s. Thank you.
Frederick County Sheriff's Office, which is run by my favorite sheriff, Lenny Milholland. Stop interrupting me. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll
Nikki.
have a brand new episode of The Valley Today ready to go for you just a few minutes after noon. Meet me here then.